So we're at the very end of the text on the last verse, yeah, and I was commenting on the first line, make contact with a qualified lineage holder and apply yourself to the methods that use the conditions in a world steeped in negativity as causes of the altruistic state of knowledge. So yesterday we were talking about making contact with a qualified lineage holder or with a qualified spiritual mentor, and we talked about the different qualifications of what to look out for, and that we're the ones who choose who our teachers are. Nobody comes and says, hey, you know, I'm your teacher. Yeah. If we choose to take refuge in precepts or bodhisattva precepts or initiation or something like that with somebody, then that person automatically becomes one of our teachers. So it's very good to check out the qualities of somebody before you take any kind of precepts or commitments with them, you know, for that reason. And then after we make that contact and form that relationship, then what do? Yeah, then we go to our teacher, make 3 prostrations and cry. Help! Yeah, I'm suffering in samsara, save me. I mean, we need to have the attitude of I'm suffering in samsara and I need help. We need that, definitely. But, you know, the drama we don't need. You know, then we go about really learning from our teacher, you know, so requesting teachings or asking our teacher what we should study, what we should practice, and so on. Very often, this doesn't need to be prescribed to us individually because there's a whole group of people, you know, like at a monastery who are studying together, so it's not that you need to go and ask what you should study because it's what's being presented there. Yeah. Sometimes you need to ask, you know, what practice should I emphasize, or if there's things that aren't clear from the teachings that you're getting, then you go and you ask questions about how do I put this into practice. If you're doing the meditations and you're having some difficulty or you're coming up with the wrong result, you know, like after the end of the meditation on compassion, you're really furious at people, then you go ask for help. You know, you don't kind of hold it all in. You know, and you try and create a positive relationship with your teacher. You can have more than one. It's fine to do that. And we might go to different teachers for different things. Some of our teachers, like His Holiness Dalai Lama, has thousands of students. You're not going to go and ask the Dalai Lama about, you know, I've been having a lot of problems with anger lately, because it's going to take you a few lifetimes to get an appointment probably. So then what you would do is look at the books that he's written, okay? And you may have a relationship with another teacher who is more accessible. There aren't as many students, and so you can go and make an appointment and ask for help in that way. You know, similarly, if there's a particular topic that you're very keen on, that you may go to one teacher who really excuse me, specializes in that topic and knows it very well, and request that teacher to teach that to you. It's our responsibility to create a good relationship with our teacher. Teachers have responsibilities towards their students too, you know, to act with integrity and compassion and to teach correctly and guide correctly and not have a big ego in the process of it, and so on. But from the viewpoint of us as students, then it's important for us to create the proper attitude towards our teacher. Because sometimes, what we do is we have the expectation that our teacher's going to meet all of our needs, our teacher's going to be this perfect person, they're somehow floating up there on the cloud. And then when we see things that look like quite ordinary behavior, we get upset, we get angry, we get disillusioned, disappointed, okay? So, it's really advised for us to focus. Before we form a relationship and choose somebody to be our teacher, that's the time to look at all their bad qualities, and see, is this a bad quality? Do I really want this person to become my teacher, and so on. After we've accepted somebody as a teacher, after going through this process of scrutiny and we haven't rushed into it, and we've determined this is a person I can have confidence in and so on, then we practice looking at that person's good qualities. Because what happens if at that point we start looking at their negative qualities, then it becomes a real obstacle in our practice, because we get angry, we get demanding, we get disillusioned, we want to throw the whole Dharma away, and so that's not helpful to us at all. Of course, if your teacher's doing something that's clearly unethical, then you have to bring it up, in the proper context, either going to that teacher individually to talk with them about it, talking with their teacher about it, having the community address the issue. There's different ways that you might go about it. But that's if something's clearly, an ethical infraction. But if it's just that your teacher has a different way that they do things differently than the way you like to do them, they have different preferences, they don't please your ego, all of that kind of stuff, then we have to realize, that's not the fault of the teacher. That's just something to be expected within human relationships, that not everybody's going to do what we want them to do. Okay, so we have to really discriminate, and like, is this an unethical thing, or is this a thing of preference? And so I always use the example of one of my teachers who, I like to get up early in the morning and go to bed early at night, and he likes to start the teachings late at night and teach all night until the morning, and it drives me nuts. And that is my problem. That is not my teacher's fault. There's nothing unethical in what he's doing. Okay, that's just the way he does things. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, I don't function well in the middle of the night. Okay? So that's not something that you criticize your teacher over. If your teacher's embezzling money or sleeping with the students or lying or, something like this, then yes, that's an ethical issue. But if your teacher, sometimes may speak sharply to somebody, that doesn't necessarily mean they're angry, okay? Because sometimes somebody needs to get, shocked a little bit in order for them to pay attention. If your teacher's really chewing everybody out all the time and criticizing people up, down, and across, then, there might be something to investigate about that. But, Venerable Jendi tells the story about her teacher, and how she watched, because she was very sensitive to getting chewed out sometimes. And she remembered once discussing something, her teacher was discussing something with a group of people, and it was very fine and plain, and then the phone call came in from one disciple, and her teacher just seemed to get really, really angry, and said, blah, 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 hung the phone up, and then went back to being completely fine and continued the conversation. And that helped Venerable Jendi realize, no, it wasn't that her teacher was mad, it was like this disciple needed to be spoken to in that way to get the point across. Okay? So, you have to be careful about forming these kinds of judgments. And I tell you the story often of when I was in Taiwan, and one master chewed out one of his disciples in front of the whole group, and I realized, that made me realize that this disciple was probably a very close disciple, because he could bear that without freaking out and crying and saying, my teacher doesn't care about me. But he could really sit and take in what was happening. Yeah? So the relationship with our teacher provides us with the opportunity to really work with many of the issues we have with other people, but in the context of this special relationship where we have already scrutinized somebody's qualities and decided that they're a trustworthy person, that they're a good person. Now these things are coming up. And so then that should make us question, okay, what's going on in my mind that I'm picking all these faults? Okay? So what we might learn from that kind of thing is we have a habit of whoever we meet picking faults with them. I know none of you do that. I don't do it either. But for those other people who are very picky and pick faults, okay, then they begin to see, oh, you know, this is what I do with regard to everybody, and now I'm bringing my whole pattern of picking faults right into my relationship with my teacher. And this is not going to serve me. You know, it's going to become a real hindrance for me in my practice. So I have to really work with this mind that likes to pick faults, you know. Or if your teacher's telling you, you know, you should do this, because we just had this whole discussion about the word should and how we recoil at the word should, you know, and then we see ourselves recoiling, and then just say, well, you know, how much does that happen in my relationships in general with everybody? Well, it happens a lot. You know, I don't like to be told what to do. And every time I hear the word should, somebody's bossing me around. And I like my autonomy, and I want people to leave me alone and get off my back. And that includes my teacher. And then to realize, whoa, you know, I have an issue with this with many people in my life. Yeah, and here it is coming up in relationship with my teacher, who's a special person, and this is a special relationship. And if I keep on reacting this way in my habitual way, I'm going to create a lot of problems for myself, you know, because this person is very important to me because they're the one who's teaching me the Dharma. Yeah, they're providing the link between me and the Buddha. So if I just continue to pick faults or get, you know, resentful or play out all my issues with authority, you know, with this person, it's going to impact my ability to learn the Dharma. Okay, so I need to look at what I'm doing. And so you see, in that way, kind of, you know, when the Buddha advises us to really keep a good relationship with our spiritual mentor and to look only at their positive qualities, and if we do see the negative qualities, then, you know, to try and dispel them by seeing them as, you know, things coming from ourselves, then we can understand why the Buddha gives that advice and why it is helpful for us to do that. That we're not just whitewashing, oh, they really have, you know, so many problems and I'm just whitewashing it and pretending that they're a really nice person, but it's like, whoa, you know, when I check, I do this same behavior with so many people in my life. And this is my issue. Yeah, and it really has nothing to do with the teacher. Actually, the fact of it playing out with my teacher is good because it's going to make me take a look and do something about this habitual behavior, which is not serving me when it relates to everybody else, and especially it doesn't serve me when it relates to my teacher. Okay? So that's one way that the relationship helps us. But it's tough. It's tough. It's not easy. You know, all of our junk is going to come up. We all come to the monastery and, oh, light and love and bliss. We hear love and compassion. When we come to visit the monastery, everybody smiles at us and is so kind with us. And then when we come to live here, they all ignore us. And they say, you know, you're on the chore rota for cleaning the toilet and you've missed it the last 3 weeks. You know, it's like, what do you mean? Well, it's true. Yeah. So we have to improve. Yeah. But this is why we came, isn't it? You know, we came to the monastery to improve. Yeah, we didn't come to get our way. If you want to get your way, there's a whole rest of the world. Go and get your way. Yeah, see if you can get your way in the rest of the world. Yeah? Can you get your way in the rest of the world? Yeah? So, well, keep trying if that's what you want, you know. But if you come here to change your mind, then keep remembering that that's why you came. Yeah? And that's why we form a relationship with a spiritual teacher, because we want to change our mind, because we realize that our mind is berserky. It's filled with anger and clinging and resentment, all that kind of stuff.